Hello. That's a good start, isn't it? Where do we start? I feel I should do an explanation of what I showed in that minute short with no words said, just hand gestures. I'm going to put a link in the description to the soundtrack, the song called Seven by David Bowie from the album called Hours. Hours. Funny how the H is silent. Where should we go? Let's start with a little bit of tarot cards here. Cards that sort of come out every now and again and show a lot of things in them. Things like Gift of Rivers. Rivers is motions, therefore actions. It's also emotions. What's interesting on this card, it is a coming together. It is also a fork in the road. It is the asking why. You have the rose on the one side of the card, which you could say is the heart. On the other side, you have a serpent, which could be knowledge, could be wisdom. And what is right in the middle between the two at a higher level but man? Which path do you take? That's the thing. I'll come on to that in a minute. It's encoded in David Bowie, that's for sure. Another card, a beautiful card that comes out at the moment is this. Those of you in Archaix will be familiar with the contact period of 60 years, the tertiary field, where effectively you have two realities, two circles come over, and there's that overlap section between the two. It's the birthing of something new coming, the parting of the waters, you could say. And of course, it's a rivers card. It's the six of rivers. It's the sixth chakra. It's the mind's eye. From our thoughts we create, and it comes out into this reality. Let me give you a negative interpretation of that. How things work, what goes on. You've got your two hemispheres of the brain. But if the heart isn't centered, it's to one side and it's seemingly doing something different from the knowledge, or the knowledge isn't working with the heart. Your two hemispheres of the brain will have a conversation. You're feeling negative, you're feeling down about things. That sends a signal across to the other hemisphere of your brain, which then sends a signal, and every cell in your body becomes negative. You set up the right conditions, the terms and conditions, for it to manifest in something physical, like cancer. You set it up, you've set up the conditions in your physical body. So in that is also the answer. Change your thought, change inside how you feel about anything, and the external will change as well. That is the game changer. That is the pole shift inside yourself. There's the place of rivers as well. Another very interesting card. You've got that why again. That thing we all ask when we're about 2 years old, to everything that's said to us. Why? Why should I do this? Why do I have to do that? And all this kind of thing. In a way, it's sort of foreshadowing new ideas. Being able to see two paths that are open. It's thanks to a word that was said, beguiling. Are you beguiled? Beguile. Now listen to the word guile. Then look how it's spelt. When you see it written, you'll see there's U in guile. But when it's said to you, or when you are beguiled by something, are you aware that you are in beguiled. You have been beguiled. So that's root B, you could say. There's also root A. It's always about going back to source. Well, source you could also call alpha. But now we have this difference with this letter G. Why has it got two completely different sounds? Why is there a soft sounding, like in guile? Because you can have, sorry, a hard sound, or you could have a softer sound, so it sounds more like a letter J. So it could be agile. Now where are you? The agility is to keep that frontal cortex working. It doesn't require overthinking things. It just requires the ability to meet in the middle with and see what the mind's eye is showing. The picture that is being shown inside. The one that we create. And of course, when you put certain words together, you can have the expression a judge pronounces a sentence. You are found guile-tied. Because it's all a play on words. They're not speaking common English. You're caught in the courts. It's a twist on, like crystals, the way quartz is spelt there. Same sound, very different spelling, very different outcome. So you don't really want to be guile-tied at all. That comes from having that inner knowledge, that inner wisdom. Anyway, do look at that album cover, or that picture that's shown. You've got the three fields that David Bowie is sitting in the middle. There's that contact period. He's sitting right in the middle. And he's sitting, and if you count the legs, depending on your perception, you could count 10 with the blocks, because he's sitting on the solid reality of the material part of Earth. Unless you're going to tell me that air and oxygen and what's above us is not part of Earth. Because whilst we're placed on Earth, you're not breathing in something solid, but it's still part of Earth, though you can't see it. So you can count those legs and you can come up with 7 or 10. That's what I was alluding to, that physically we have 10 digits. So we have a 10, we have the 7 chakras and such like. So we are of the 7 as well. I'm referencing here the mythological, historical and such like references to the 10 kings and the 7 kings. And there is an 8th that is part of the 7. That is what I was showing in that. When I did this, well, I'm sure you know about the black eye club, the moon eye, and what if you then add the sun eye, but then it points to a diamond in the sky, the third eye. Depending how you look at it, you can also see with the diamonds there is the infinity, the number 8, or it's almost like the 6 and the 9, the yin and yang. What I'm basically saying is you contain the 10 kings, you contain the 7 kings, you have a dark side, you have a light side, it's all within you. So it doesn't matter which are the good guys between the 10 kings and the 7 kings, because I'm taking that script and I'm writing a new story. I'm bringing the two together in one. Between showing you the 10, I then did this, the 11, the doorway, showing the alternative reality, as it were. Because you can see the 7 kings as bad, you could see the 10 kings as bad, but what if you bring them together? And look how that number 17 is so often displayed. And it's also a split 8, a split infinity, because you have these 7 energy centers, these 7 chakras within one. So you have a 1 and you have a 7. You have a divine number with a number 7. 1 must be a divine number as well. But it all comes from 0. It comes from nothing. It comes from, like, out of, you pluck things out of the air, what would be described as magic. But there comes a point where your thoughts do create something that does become tangible and physical in this reality. I'll talk a bit longer because we're only up to 10 minutes. So David Bowie, some of his most successful songs were co-written with Brian Eno. Is it coincidence that Brian Eno, if you rearrange the letters, you get one brain? Now I'm going to talk to the individual, the in David you all. If you look at that word individual, take the David part. David is like David. It's just because of a vowel shift. You'll find the name David is associated very much with Wales, but also figures in the Bible. Isn't that interesting? A quintessential Welsh name is in the Bible. It's said that Gaelic speakers can understand and read a Hebrew Bible without need for translation. That I find very interesting as well. But D-I-V-I-D, you've got the ID there, you've got die there, you've got the V, the coming together of the D-I and I-D, death of the false persona almost being shown. And Bowie. What is a Bowie? It's a type of knife. It's a double-edged knife. A two-edged sword, you could say. It's showing contrast. David Bowie shows contrasts. His eyes were 2 different colours. You look at his musical career, very early on in particular, you have like The Man Who Sold the World, where he's wearing a dress. It's sort of alluding to sort of a transgenderism. It's showing a duality. His name encodes that in both the David and the Bowie. If you look at that album cover, on the one side of David Bowie, outside of those 2 circles that have created this overlap period, you've got what looks like buildings with lights coming through the window. Now, windows are normally recessed. Now, you look on the other side of him, you have protrusions with shadows. It's showing a photo-positive and a photo-negative reality. And David Bowie is sitting right in the middle. He's expressing that there are contrasts, there are 2 worlds. But it also begs the question, and I don't know if anybody has ever thought of this. When we come to this contact period, what if there is a third way where you don't have to go into either the photo positive and you don't have to remain in the photo negative? Could there be another door, and what would that lead to? That's what I'm asking now. Because have we already experienced the contrast of the photo positive and now tried the photo negative, or are we meant to experience the photo negative before going to the photo positive? Just questions I feel should be asked without actually having the answer to them. Because there's always a curiosity, there's always a fear of stepping into the unknown. What if there's a point between those 2 realities that you could also step into? I don't know the answer to that as such. Any more than the oversoul, the creator, can really know death. Because something that is infinite cannot experience death. The only way something infinite that could experience death is to give birth to something, we could call it a son. So the oversoul experiences death through its manifestation in this physical reality, i.e. in individualized forms, in David you all, individual, in divide you all. You have the 7 kings, you have the 10 kings. You can be in meta, or you can be infinite. Depends how you look at it, whether you see it that way or whether you see it that way, but it's the same thing ultimately, in a way. So that's what I was trying to get across. But it's interesting, the answers that come out. I'm showing a bridge. Yes, I am showing a bridge. But I'm also saying, or asking the question, is there another bridge? Could we go somewhere else completely different from our choosing? To say, I'm not picking either side. I'm not going to stay in the photo negative, but equally I'm not going into the photo positive, because I feel there's something between the two that I may want to go to instead. It's just something for you to ponder here. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it's right. But I do feel it's something worth weighing up inside oneself. Because the theme is very much about taking a middle path. This reality is always an invitation to pick a side. And I'm just putting it out there for you to make of it what you will. But what you'll see in that minute short video that I made with just hands gestures and things, that will also help you find out where you're at, because the more you look into something, the more you question what actually is being shown here at every level, even subconscious and not really conscious to myself. I mean, what maybe choose to put this particular top on that has 3 white stripes on either side? Is there something on that it's got red, white and blue on it? Is there something that my subconscious is communicating that my conscious isn't even aware of in this? Because the body will always tell on the mind anyway, and the outward display, I would say, also has some bearing on this as well. Even if we don't even, if we're not even aware of it, as it were. Right, we're up to 18 minutes. I feel that is long enough, but don't forget the one-to-one tarot card readings. That can actually help you find or give birth to something. You don't have to be particularly necessarily in a female body to give birth to something when it is a thought. But it can still manifest into this reality in one form or another. That's something to ponder as well, isn't it? We are far more than we suppose ourselves to be. There is no doubt about that for a start. This is just an exploration of possibilities, potentials at this stage. Because there is terms and conditions. It does require this tertiary field convergence. That's going to be very interesting. Seeing things in a whole different light, you could say. Anyway, unconditional love to you all.